We're here with Jimmy. We just finished
Star of the show again.
Yeah, we just finished up your sofa, and the last thing we did was the cushion. And what do you think about that, Jimmy?
I am impressed with it. I'll tell you, the fabric and all the talent that went through it, and the adjustments alone were just, definitely a lesson for everybody.
Yeah, it was a killer because it was the framework was just, each piece was done separately, upholstered separately, and then just stapled together.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few nuts and bolts underneath it
Nice.
if you really were to show it. And again, when you see how they actually put something together in the factory.
Yeah. Not made to be reupholstered. They're not thinking about you at all.
No, I think if somebody were to undertake that, I think it would be quite the project.
I think this was a very, if I had to, put a title on this one, it's an A to Z. Like we've got a few of them. These are the purchase ones on the Broadway upholstery.
Right.
Right, Patrick?
Yep.
That's how they find it. I would have to say there's a lot of problem solving. Upholstery on Broadway?
Yeah.
This would be a problem solving. There was a lot of problem solving in this, right?
Yeah, well, definitely a lot of adjustments. Again, like I said before, with regard to using of the staple gun, trying to, pulling the fabric through some of the older chairs that are around this world still, but finding out that, oh, wait a minute, there's nothing here.
There's
wait
no
a minute,
pull, there's no openings, there's no pull
yeah,
throughs.
where do I, now I have to go, oh, did I cut something wrong? Did I cut it short? Or should I have pulled, oh.
You had to readjust the whole, what you've always learned, what I've taught you, you had to readjust, we had to readjust the whole thing.
One thing we definitely say, guys, is this is very different than anything Jimmy has done before in any of the classes.
Yeah, I think honestly,
like a whole new thing.
If we had done a traditional sofa, I definitely think it would have been, something.
Smoother.
Well, you have it stripped down to where you want it to be, and then you say, okay, here we go.
This probably would have been a good case for a slipcover.
Yes.
This would have taken a slipcover better than a reupholstering this job.
Oh,
Doesn't
yeah.
this go to show you the quality of things, though?
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, to be honest with you. But the price points on this sofa, Jimmy, it was, do you remember what it would cost? New? Or did you?
No, I would probably say $700 to $900.
Oh, well, there you go.
This was my sofa, remember? It was only $500. So you took a $500 sofa and you turned it into one that's, I'd say, what? Almost $2,000.
Well, when you think about it, $500 for sofas, think about it. Just the fabric alone.
Oh.
And so they must.
And it was by chance that Patrick and I had been downstairs, and we said, okay, let's pull some, fabrics that we, with a lot to it, and let's see what we can do, come up with something. Wow. And within, 15, 20 minutes, we had something.
Yeah, and you like the idea of the contrast.
No, you came up with that. That was your idea. We were kind of going, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. And thank God,
we tell people now, I don't know if we mentioned it, but we wanted to do it all blue, right, Jimmy? You want it all blue, or all one whole color.
Right, because we had gone back and forth with, again, how many yards do we have? Oh, I think we found 2 rolls of the blue, right?
Yes.
So we had 2 rolls of the blue and 1 large amount of the gray. Yeah. And what do we do? And then again,
so we thought we were settling, but it ended up being cooler doing it this way. Cause show people the cushion what you could do.
Oh yeah, so
really cool.
Yeah, this is what we have.
Yeah.
And again.
And there you go. You put it that way. You want.
And you'll have. We're going to be taking pictures of it, so you will be posting it for quite some time.
Yeah, of course.
And
Susan, let's see. Souza. Sorry if I got that wrong. How much were the materials? How much were these fabrics going for per yard?
These fabrics here were $80 a yard.
That's
retail.
what I'm saying. That's why it's such
so when you think about you only see 1 cushion, but there are 6 cushions.
Yeah.
And the body. So you're talking at least 12 yards of fabric. 12 times 80. That's exceeds double what was paid for this sofa.
Wow.
So you wonder how it's definitely manufactured overseas.
Yes.
Definitely the labor force. You have to wonder what they're paying them, if they're paying them at all.
Well,
I don't want to get too political, but let's face it, $500 for a complete sofa with the fabric new and shipping.
Right.
So you're at a factory somewhere in the world and you're getting an order. The only way you can make money on something like this is if you get an order from an American factory or factories for 10,000, 20,000 pieces.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to make any money. It's a volume game.
Right.
So therefore, they're not going to take the time to do doweled frames, hardwood frames.
Not unless
Right.
you want to say, yes, exactly, the frame alone with the oak or cherry, whatever you decide. Well, that's at least $3,000 right there.
Well, we had a place that we used to get our upholsterers we used to custom. I can still custom make furniture, but it doesn't come up that much because of the expense. I mean, so we're doing a lot more reupholsterings. But when I first started in here, in this business, we would have a place called State Parlor Frame. It was in Boston. We would drive into Boston. The customer would pick their frame, let's say a wing chair, and they did beautiful work. Beautiful. They were very proud of their work. It was all, we picked up the wood frame.
Okay.
I mean, it was beveled. The edges were beveled where they needed to be beveled, and all of the pull throughs were there. A double rail,
Okay.
so you could pull through, and the frame was substantial enough so that you can anchor 8-way tie, hand-tied coil springs.
Wow.
And it was the upholsterer's job to enhance that frame with the springs and the padding and the hand stitching, and then the fabric and and you know, the form. You know, I consider a lot of this artwork. You know,
Well, it is. I mean, you're basically, this is kind of an abstract piece here.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
right.
are making
this
it
would be
just-
a modern. I would call this a modern abstract, right? It
you
worked
know.
good. It worked well.
Well, I mean, my God, this is an outstanding job you did.
I want to talk a little bit about the sofa we delivered today. That sofa.
That
you
was
may
a
not
nice
know,
sofa,
That's
too.
more than nice. That was a Danish. That was one of the first Danish mid-century sofas made. And the interesting thing about that, it was in a transitional period in upholstery. It had zigzag springs on the bottom, and that cushion, that heavy cushion that we put in,
Yeah.
that was coil springs. It was one of the first coil sprung cushion. So it was really in a transition. I believe that was probably before 1950. So you're talking right after the war, World
Okay.
War II. And I think it's either really early 50s probably.
Okay.
And it was just like right there. And that was beautiful, wasn't it? That was
So-
all rosewood.
I mean, I was impressed with the length of it because, I mean, it just seemed...
I wish I had a picture. I didn't take a
Yeah,
picture.
I know.
helped bring in, we moved
Yeah.
the back. Yeah, that was cool.
And it was heavy too. It was really solid.
Yeah.
What was the difference in the weight differences between that one and this one?
Well, this one's a little more denser. I mean, a little
Yeah.
small, but I think, you know, kind of like it's there. But the question I have is about the cushion. You said coil, so
Yeah.
what number coil spring would that be? Because
Well,
I'm used to seeing.
They're more like bed springs. They're more
Okay.
like bed springs.
Okay.
They're light gauge. They
So
can't
will
be
they
heavy
come like in a
gauge.
long set?
Yeah.
Okay.
They come in. They're hog ringed together,
Okay.
and they're usually covered with muslin,
Okay.
and they're usually covered with something else. The newer ones we cover with 50/50 down feather. The one that we delivered today
Right.
was cotton.
Oh.
They didn't do the down. Nobody thought of doing down feather casing. That's what they do today, which is better than the cotton. Cotton will mat down after a while.
Okay.
The down will always be, fluffing back.
So with that shape of the couch itself, it didn't seem like the legs were that strong.
Well, they were.
They were.
They're rosewood. Rosewood is a very strong wood.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a comment about this for Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy, if when this class is posted, someone's gonna follow along.
Okay.
What do you they're gonna do what you're gonna do? Are they in for a rough time? Well, doing
No,
the same exact thing.
you know
like,
what,
if they want to
I-
take a modern piece and redo it just for fun.
I
Are they in for it or?
I would say looking at the frame, because we had the frame up last week and we put the cambric on it, you get to see how they actually put the framework together. And definitely it is not something that I've done before. I again, I don't know if I'd ever do another modern piece again. Now that I have the experience, you can say, oh, I know what to do. But I like the old-fashioned furniture, the old framework, and I think it's definitely a lot better. You definitely have better woods back then than it is. This is, I don't know, plywood, Kevin, I guess, to a point? The framework?
Particle
board. Okay, so
Oh,
particle
God.
board.
We call it follow
I mean-
particle board.
Regular wood.
I think that it's, again, a learning experience if you were to do it. Definitely,
Jimmy, we just got a new order. Patrick doesn't even know
He
this.
cuts you off right off, Jimmy.
Sorry, but no, it's exciting. Somebody bought the Broadway Upholstery Classes, the carved mahogany chair. Do you remember the carved mahogany chair, Jimmy?
Wow, that's going back.
That's a
Which
long
one was-
way.
Yeah.
That class, Patrick, do you remember any of the details of that class? It's only $49.99, and that's an A to Z, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all A to Z, all online classes. And actually, Sousa has a good question to go along with this. She has that. It's going to be a long answer, I think.
What's that?
How should or can somebody get into upholstery, the total artwork? How did you get into it, Jimmy?
Well, you know what? I'm an artsy craftsy guy. I do a lot of, I refinish furniture. I've done a few projects in my time, bureaus and tabletops and other things. I had, what I started with, and it's not, it was 12 years ago, when I had a small chair at my daughter's house, and I took that apart. And it took me a good 6 or 7 weeks to finally finish it, even though it was as simple as it was.
Yeah.
And it just continued on. Oh, let me do this. Oh, let me do this. Let me try this. I ended up having, once people find out you do, oh, wow, can you do this for me? And I had, in my apartment alone, I have 5 pieces that I did.
No, so she can even go on there. We offer, what is it, like 12 classes at this point, and she can learn. Now that we have this,
well,
it's
I think
easier for people to learn. You know,
you guys do an awful lot of the YouTube videos, and I think that's kind of a learning experience, but also a confidence builder, especially with, a simple dining room chair, or maybe even a wingback chair if that's what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
So the thing about learning upholstery is that actually the raw material knowledge that you need is very small, very limited. I could probably explain in 2 hours. I could go over all the tools, the use of the tools, some tips on the machine. You need to sew too to be an upholsterer, right? Jimmy found that out today. Our last class was the cushion, which I showed him.
That's. I think sewing is quite another education.
That's a whole other part of the business that you need. You really do need. I've known upholsterers who worked their whole careers without getting on the machine once.
How did that happen?
Well, they've been in shops that they had stitches, but you can't rely on that all the time. If you're self-employed, you need to know, you need to do the whole array. But I could explain what a webbing stretcher is, how to use a hammer, what the tacks we use, what staple sizes we use, what compressors we use, that go over the tool use. And then maybe do a little history of upholstery, like we just bantered back and forth. But the really thing that builds your skill, it's a skill. So that's just practice.
It's a lot of patience, because I can remember
it's it's practice.
At least, depending on the project, it might be 4 to 6 hours of you stripping down. We did one chair here, the channel back chair.
Yeah.
Finding out when I had bought it off of someone, there were 3 layers of fabric. Right. So, a lot of people, just throw it on, no problem, and it looked great. But of course, again, we wanted to do it for the class, for the classes, and sure enough, what happened again? Like I say, when I'm taking it off, I'm like, what is? Keep going, and it took a good 6 to 7 hours. With all that,
and there's things to learn and taking things apart too. You're reversing what the upholsterer did, and you can pay attention to what you're doing, and even film it if you want.
Right.
But when I was learning, we had no YouTube. The closest thing to anything would be this old house,
right,
which shows carpentry, and not really in depth carpentry. When I first started,
they show the tool, they show the cut. Right. Here we go, boom.
But you guys, you don't know how lucky you are. We have a few people who've opened businesses based on the YouTube videos that we have.
Well, I think those are a great reference. I don't care what you're doing. I think, again, to get an idea of what you're looking at with tools, and again, how to set yourself up.
So getting back to the question.
Yes.
Who asked that question, Patrick?
Sousa.
So Sousa, you have to really be
patient. I would say
tenacious.
Patient. Yes.
You have to have you've got to stick with it, and really, most upholsterers that I've met, including me, have a stubborn nature, and you know what it is? It's like sticking with something all day long if you have to get it right.
Yeah.
And then that's skill building too. You don't realize it can be frustrating, but it's like repetitive. You really have to.
Well, it's not. Again, even once you start getting into it, and again having the right tools to take the materials off the chair or the ottoman.
Plus, the space is important. Your frame of mind. You have to have the time. The YouTube videos are unbelievable. It gives you an unbelievable advantage from 50 years ago. If you asked, how do you learn? You would have to befriend an upholsterer. You'd have to immerse yourself into an upholstery shop to learn.
Yes.
Books don't
we
do
need to
it.
take it one step further with the online classes.
That's right.
Right.
Literally everything's included.
They
Not
have
just-
upholstery books too, but you can't learn. You can only learn so much from a book.
Yeah, I
'cause
mean,
it's
they're gonna-
one-dimensional.
I
And
think
thank
again
you,
we.
Malcolm, for putting that up there. It's Broadway Upholstery School on upholsteryandbroadway.com.
Well, thank you. Malcolm's been a good friend of ours for a long time, and we appreciate that.
Yep.
And he's
Yeah.
always tuned in, and he's been patient with us too, because there's been gaps here.
And Randy's here now.
Oh, hi, Randy.
Randy made a good point that sofa is disposable.
Thank you, Randy. After all this hard work.
Hopefully, you made a little less disposable now, though, Jimmy.
Well, you know what? Again, I've had furniture, years ago, modern furniture, and it's once it starts to falter, then you know that your time is limited.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you might be able to do something if you know how to do it. Again, strapping something to hold this up, but again, you're talking about modern furniture. It's
I
not.
think you did great taking something that I didn't think. I mean, we had it for 32 years. I never thought it was very comfortable. You took something and you made it.
Oh,
great.
thank you, Father. Here, this is the brainchild of this project.
Do you want to read the YouTube things?
Absolutely. This
Well,
is
before you get that, one
this
more
is
question from Sousa here.
Susan,
Should I
okay.
practice, know the terms, and maybe go to a local mom and pop upholstery shop and ask if they need an apprentice?
Yeah. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
You can get a situation like that. They're hard
Matter
to
of fact,
find.
you in Massachusetts, we'll take some.
They're hard to find somebody willing to do that. Because we're busy making a living too, and honestly, to train an upholsterer takes time. If you do it properly, it takes time.
Well,
You had
right,
somebody
I mean-
from, where was she from again?
Oh, I had a Swedish intern, Jimmy.
Okay.
She was from Sweden.
Sweet. My name is Sven.
She was very she was very nice, and I used to go down to the Starbucks, the local Starbucks, Jimmy. I used to get my cappuccino every day, and then one day.
Wow, you treat yourself really well.
Yeah, one day I got 2 cappuccinos because she landed at Logan Airport. She came out to the shop, and she was my apprentice.
She
was
looked
gonna be an
around and said,
apprentice
"I've had
for the-
enough, thanks."
No, she stuck around. And then my barista says, "Who's the second cup of coffee for?" And I said, "That second cup of coffee for is my Swedish intern. She came all the way from Sweden." And he went like this. "Sure, Kevin."
What a jerk.
So the second day, I got 2 more, and he says, "How long are you gonna put up with this charade that you have?"
Really? You thought it was a charade?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
you took her down there. So
I had to.
You were reluctant, though, right? You wanted to keep this going, because I would have increased the order. Well, now she wants a piece of coffee
Well, then
cake.
she wanted lunch and dinner, and desserts. It
Oh.
started costing me a lot of money. No,
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, you have to do like 2 or 3 projects on the side. Yeah, okay.
And Malcolm says, it's worth doing a modern sofa once. Now that you know it's not worth doing it. I agree. And the class is there for anybody who wants to try it.
Problem solving.
I'd say for somebody who, you're not gonna, hopefully you don't have a piece of crap sitting around that's destroyed, but if you have just a basic thing like this, that you want to just challenge yourself,
I would probably invest if there was an older piece of furniture with, again, we know how the framework is
Wow.
on an old, let's say a wingback chair or even an ottoman.
Wow.
We know that, okay, this is what we have. Versus like something like this, again, which is more modern. And it seems to be missing some things.
And I'd hope if somebody bought something like this, it wouldn't be destroyed already.
Well, this was
You know,
a good
it's
candidate
new,
for, like
so
I said, for a slipcover.
Yeah.
Right, Malcolm? This probably would have been. It's less expensive usually to slipcover, and it would have been less of a hassle to slipcover this.
Yeah. So Malcolm, that's why we just did it we've never done one, and we never did a sofa, so we figured give it a shot, right, Jimmy? I think you did pretty good.
Yeah, well, again, the brainchild right here. This guy pulled it together because that was like.
We
Not to mention-
worked on this one.
Not to mention, Jimmy got everything for free now.
He
Yeah.
did.
He got $2,000 sofa for
He
free.
did.
I know.
He did. This economy doesn't work this way.
This is no, I don't want to. I'm going to sound political. I'll say that
Yeah.
at the.
So why don't you read the YouTubes?
Yeah. So this is
Sorry again. Before you, Suda says thank you, and thank you for the advice, and she really appreciates it. Hopefully what we said helps.
Well,
Keep in
you know
touch.
what? Yes, keep in touch, please.
And check out the website.
You check out the website, and if you have any projects, please post them, and we'll get Because I think on the Broadway,
Which brings up, are you still, you're an administrator for the Facebook?
I haven't seen
Man, I gotta say,
anything.
no, he's not. There's
He's
200
not.
people waiting for.
There's a lot of
acceptance.
people waiting, Jimmy. What's going on with you?
Don't worry.
Well, you know
Are you
what?
doing it,
Yeah, I
Patrick?
took care of it.
I hope so.
Hey, he takes it from me. I'm like, wait a minute. I get so much per person here. You know? I should have charged. I should have started charging like
We get people all over the world, Jimmy.
$29.95 to be a part of this, but you know, you guys like messed that up for me.
So speaking of it, we have a Facebook forum too.
Yeah.
If
How's
you want
that
to-
going, Patrick?
Going good.
How many people you got on Facebook?
619.
Wow.
Yep.
And would imagine if we had to take him out to dinner.
I know.
Oh,
We left with no money.
yeah. We'd be canning, probably from the eastern part of the state to the western part of the state.
Malcolm has a good question.
Yes.
If you had to add up your hours, and charge a realistic shop rate, what does this sofa cost to do?
Is he asking me or Jimmy as an apprentice or both of us? It's the-
Well,
Maybe
it
just
was
two
it was
separate- two
it was
separate.
12 hours, so even at say $70.
no, it's more than 12 hours, Jimmy.
14?
10, there were 10 classes.
Okay.
Each one is, but remember there's prep time on that and there's off-camera stuff that we were doing. So,
Okay, so,
I'd say realistically you're at 30 hours.
Okay, 30
You're at
hours
30
at say
hours.
$70.
Shop time, typical Boston shop is $80 an hour, so 80 times 20,
2,400, and not including the fabric.
right?
That's like $3,400.
Right, and you
That's
paid how
how
much?
it works.
How much was it? $500.
Oh, wait a minute, I got the change in my
Yeah,
pocket.
exactly.
It was $500.
Paper with pennies.
You're talking about a volume, manufacturer's volume business. You're talking about orders, and they do literally. They'll have a factory. They'll have a company come in and say, "I need 10,000 of these."
Oh, wow.
It's the only way they're going to make money at $500-600
So
a whack.
that was the DIY. What about the master upholsterer shop hours? If you just did the whole thing yourself, quick,
But
full
you couldn't-
speed,
Probably half.
But you still couldn't even do it.
Would it even be
because,
worth it?
Well,
to be
I-
fair, because here's the
I
thing.
would.
Well, I mean, if somebody come in and says, I mean, you would definitely be explaining it. Say,
Yeah.
You know, this is what the fabric's going to be. It's worth more than the couch itself.
Yeah.
Are you still interested? You
Right.
sure about that? This is what it's going to take.
Well, there's a lot of salesmanship in being an upholsterer, and you have to be honest to people. You compare. They want comparison prices. They want to know what the value is if I bought new, and you have to kind of justify with them if they want to do a project. It's a lot easier selling. I have 2 chairs at the shop right now that are Papa Bear chairs.
Right.
They're very, very high-end Danish chairs.
Okay.
There's no question at all that those are worth doing.
Mhm.
And that sofa we delivered today, no question at all that those are worth doing. When you start, some of the other, I won't mention some of the more, the box stores, which this would qualify a little bit as a box store,
Okay.
volume box stores.
Right.
That, don't do a lot of that. Right, I think that's not what
Well,
Malcolm is getting.
when you can walk into an average furniture store and they'll say, okay, the couch, a wingback chair kind of,
Yeah.
and maybe an ottoman, they'll say 1,500, let's say, for example. It's been a while since I've been in, but I'm saying that. But again, when you're talking about something like a top name, Ethan Allen, for example, I mean, that's definitely like a loan itself. It would be
That's more
twice
of a
a-
middle.
middle
There's
to.
better names, we have the structure is box stores,
Mm-hmm,
and then that's for the public,
mm-hmm.
and then public middle of the, which you just mentioned, one middle to high middle, and then you have the design centers. We have one in Boston, and they're featuring high-end furniture. And then there's a step over that, it's custom furniture. That hardly ever happens. Nobody comes to me and says, Kevin, I like your work. Can you do this custom wing chair for me? That used to happen, like I mentioned before. That happened years ago. It doesn't happen a lot now.
That
because
takes too long, right?
Well, it's too much money. Who's going to pay me? I would have to charge them probably $5,000 or $6,000 to do a custom wing chair from scratch. I mean,
Right.
you're starting with nothing.
So we
We can't mention where this is from, but it's the lower end box store.
Well, this
right?
is a lower end box store.
It's
I
not
mentioned.
even a box; it's a low end.
So I just gave you the ladder structure of pricing. It goes all the way from low box store to middle to high middle. Maybe there's another step in there,
right.
and then design center, and then custom. Custom is the top, and that's your 2%ers. Let's face it; those are people.
So with those upper people, do they get?
They get anything they want.
Well, I mean,
They can get anything they want in a piece of furniture.
so if you said I would like the
old,
older Victorian style,
they can get anything as long as they're willing to pay. And then I can get super uber custom. I can if somebody wanted an old Victorian, I could get somebody to do that for me. That would
Right.
have to be custom framed and finished. The finishes, people don't, they don't. A lot of people don't understand finishing and what an art form that is. I have a company that gives me work, and I give them work only on the high end stuff because they still know how to do finishes. They still know how to do gold leafing along picture frames, things like that. Those are skills that you don't see a lot, and there's not many people willing to pay, or that have the money to pay them.
well, I mean, I think years ago, the '80s, when you had a lot of furniture what was big. Now it's not that way at all. So everything's been kind of downsized, I think.
Yeah,
like that
that's true too.
We're very lucky around here with the older stuff that's in this area.
Well, that's
Malcolm,
right.
I have a complete in Arizona.
Yeah, Malcolm had that. He brought, and Randy have brought that up in the past, that we are in a traditional furniture area. So you want to get?
Hold on, another one. Adrian has a good comment, a question here that I'm passionate about. You know that. It says, good afternoon. Can you talk a bit about the type of van you use to deliver a piece of...
Well, it's right now. It's down by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Jimmy. Jimmy's in the.
We do an awful lot of water.
Adrian, we've had this argument for years now. So we had a small van. Remember that van, the white van?
The Transit.
Yeah.
Yes.
It couldn't fit it. Barely. Well, he did a good job, but the back doors had to be left open.
Well, the problem being some of those over length projects were just,
Well,
by
we had to rent a U-Haul van for some of the stuff.
But the problem with that is it parked really good in the city.
I think
Yeah.
I think we should start a GoFund or,
Well, the best fan are the walk-in vans, Patrick. Let's face it. The
I don't know if
walk-in
you've seen
vans.
American Pickers, like the one they have. The
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
Well,
American
you know what? I
Pickers,
think.
that's right.
Well, I think the other one is that leading shipping company that's been out of Amazon.
Who's that?
Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the
That's
same type of
the
truck.
type of truck.
Yeah, that's the type of truck we need.
We have a...
So if anybody wants to drop any truck off at what's the address? 205 Broadway in Arlington, Massachusetts, with the
If only it
key,
was that easy.
with the keys,
Yeah.
and maybe a full tank of gas, we'd appreciate.
So,
it.
Adrian, that's the ideal one, is one of those big ones.
Yeah.
The van, covered out of the elements. Right now, we have an F-250.
You know what? It does make a difference. Presentation does make a difference.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
yeah.
I had a company-
I put on my Upholstery on Broadway shirt when I come to most of the clients. They go, "Who? That's a nice shirt." I'll say, "He made me do it." I
Jimmy's
tell him all
been
the
a good
time.
friend. He's been good. He still has all the equipment and everything else. You bought some tools and
Yeah.
everything else. Why don't you bring your bag? Where's your bag?
Well, that's right there.
Might as well
Why
plug
don't
it
you
now.
grab his bag?
That isn't an official Upholstery on Broadway bag.
I know, but grab it. I want to show the tools that Jimmy has.
Actually, you know what? You should have. Well, you know what? You should have had a tool belt for that.
Well, I'm going to plug that now. Go on our
Let's see.
Teespring page. We have all the merch, T-shirts. Jimmy's face is on one of them, I
I'm
think.
going to open this up and tell you what's in it first.
Oh no! Do you get it with
A six-pack of beer, a cigarette.
leave the drugs
Oh,
alone.
Jimmy.
Whoa.
Well, now Jimmy's got something that I would never use.
That's a Three Stooges mallet.
That's a rubber mallet, and rubber mallets are too heavy, man. You need a wooden mallet. I'm sure you have one in here. What happened, Jimmy? Where's the wooden
Well, I
mallet?
think you took it. I think one of your students took it out of my
No.
bag. You
Really?
Yeah, I put it up on eBay.
You did? Did you? I should have signed it. It might be worth something.
So if I were using this all day, my hand would fall off me. This is too heavy, Jimmy.
no.
Here's the webbing stretcher. A gooseneck webbing stretcher. That's kind of a nice tool. One of the best tools is that magnetic tack hammer, right? What else you got in here? Pair of pliers. Everybody should have a pair of pliers. I'm not getting personal here, am I, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got
He's got straight
needles in there.
He's got curved needles. This is where he keeps his stash here now. I'm
Yeah,
starting
it's
to get
that
to
false bottom I've
I
had.
think we got Jigsaw here. He's trying to, torture
He's got his
people.
nice tack. I use this a lot. This is a tack remover and a staple remover, but this I use a
Well,
lot.
you know what? I do like that, but where's the other screwdriver? You have the
And
screwdriver?
he's got a good old fashioned with his name Jimmy on it. And what else does it say in this? Kennebunkport, Maine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
this is the other puller that we use, that I use.
I don't like that as much, but
Well,
you
I
like
like it, and I'm showing it off. I mean, what is
These
it?
are your best friends. It's diagonal side cutters. These are your best friends.
I like. I have to clean that tonight. You guys are making me work now. My God.
And now he's got a nice pair of left-handed scissors. Jimmy, poor Jimmy, being left-handed, he has a harder time, doesn't he?
Well, you know what? I work better with the right-handed.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I
so
think that's just about it. Oh, what's this? So this is another.
That was another
tack remover.
another
staple
tack remover I
yeah.
bought. I said, let me see. Let me try these things.
Memories, right, Jimmy? What's this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those.
A blowgun. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my
that's pretty
God!
good.
You
You've
know.
got some very different types of tools there.
Yeah, I'm a upholsterer / secret spy.
Or night cat burglar.
Or a ninja, as they might say.
Did we ever get to the YouTube things?
I know
yeah.
you've been ranting. Oh my God! It's
Lots
like,
of questions from people. I mean,
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for that.
You've got some.
Well, I didn't even finish Adrian, so now we have the F-250, which isn't ideal because it's exposed to the elements.
well,
And,
yeah. I mean, I think definitely
I think it's all about what if you're just using it for your shop, get the big van.
Yeah.
If you're doing other things in your life that you need to haul stuff, and you're doing that, you can get away with a pickup truck because you just go on days that are nice and you wrap the sofa and you don't have to worry about it. But we use that truck for
most people
tons of other stuff.
don't notice because what you've done is you've already developed a really good relationship with your customers, and you know that you care about your furniture and all that. But I did have a moving company show up the other day, a White Glove Moving Company, Patrick.
Even with the truck wasn't
White Glove,
truck wasn't enough.
a White Glove Moving Company. They were good.
something we'd never do.
Did the customer pay for that?
Well, designers, like I said, the designers are in a whole different,
that's
stratosphere of customers. You know, they use the best. So what's up, Jimmy?
All right, I'm gonna bounce around on this one. We're gonna try. Okay, so this is from Fixing a Popped Button for Free.
That was a good one.
But the Miranda's are from 2 days ago. My chair is leather. Will it pull in tightly to match the others? That's something we've never done before.
Well, you know, we show there's two different videos for buttons. One is with the German needle, which is a specific tool for this purpose. It comes with, you need to use a good twine and a clasp.
Okay.
You insert with the needle, you insert it in with the clasp, and it falls into the back of the chair. With the two twines coming out through the hole, your button is loose. Probably at that point, it's not on that piece of furniture. And what you're hoping is that clasp, which is only 3/4 of an inch, not even that, 1/2 of an inch wide, falls and hooks onto something like a spring or something. You hope, and there's a little loop that the twine runs through loosely. So you have a loose twine, two loose twines coming through. There's a lot that has to happen. And then you feed your button on and you put a slip knot on it. If all that works, you can get it as tight. It's a good question, actually. You can get it as tight as the other ones as long as all that's working for you. And then we show people, it's kind of neat. I thought that was a neat one, Patrick, where you can do this using home tools. Mm-hmm. We asked them to put a washer. They did a folded washer.
That was the
Remember
one,
that?
I'm pretty sure, the video you're talking about.
They can. As long as all that works and they know their slip knot, you should be able to get them. And then a little tip. If it doesn't go in like the other ones, and people don't think of this for some reason, Patrick, but they can twist the button, either counterclockwise or clockwise.
Okay.
Twist, 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 and it will tighten.
Okay.
So if it's not,
how much thicker is the material,
the twine.
the twine?
It has to be a nylon twine.
Okay, nylon twine.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can't be a cotton. Cotton will break.
Okay, wouldn't definitely.
So that one guy said, this guy's a hack. I said, you're right, it is a hack.
It is.
He's a hack on it.
That's what it is. It's for people who don't know what a German needle is or can't get a German. Do you have a German needle on you, Jimmy?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Are we playing Let's Make a Deal?
If you have a German needle on you,
I'll give you $100. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hold on.
Point, we're trying to give people a cheaper way to do this.
Well,
it's not gonna look like
when you do the tutorial on the buttons, do you do like a different angle? You come through one way and then you show how it's supposed to be.
I don't know, Jimmy. You're talking about maybe something that when you're upholstering, it's a lot easier putting buttons in when the outsides aren't on,
Right.
because you can get at it.
Right,
know.
but I didn't know, because I've never seen it, so I don't know. I mean, when you put the needle through, do you have like the camera on the other side showing how?
I don't know,
it's supposed
Patrick
to-
tries to.
We did a cut and I went around the other side.
Yeah, he tries to do a good
I
job.
both of them on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the amazing 1800 sofa, part 3. Thank you for these tutorials on the antique sofa. I started working on a circa 1900 sofa several years ago, but halted because the wood is too brittle to tack into.
Yeah.
I'm now working on it again using your double stuff method. It's going well.
Oh, good.
And this is from yours a major 1936.
Oh, good. See,
Okay.
people. You know, we do the
What
best
was-
we can on
What
these
was that?
videos.
That was the
but
material, the Horsehair one?
I'm not sure the double. I'm not
What
sure.
video does it say, Jimmy?
It says amazing 1800 sofa part 3.
That was when we found didn't we find the burlap in it that had the name of the place in Kansas?
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. But you know, people, I don't always. We have over how many? 400?
500. Was it 525?
525 videos. And when you think of the average one, maybe 5-10 minutes, Patrick, 10 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah.
So that's 5,000 hours of film.
You guys are, yeah.
That's a lot, right, Patrick? Off the top of my
and
head.
who says you don't put people to sleep?
Well, I always told people if they
Oh, Joe, you're not here.
It's 2 in the morning, honey. I'm watching how they did that sofa again.
I always recommend if you're watching, you got to have heavy gravy and turkey and wine while they're watching me. Guaranteed they'll be asleep.
You can't win because they're going to say, oh, this guy's boring. And then when you're talking, this guy's annoying.
Honey, this guy cures my insomnia. I'm good.
Yeah.
So the next one is repairing down wrap on a cushion. The question from Cinema Transit, I believe. What kind of spray glue do you use?
77. You can get that in any hardware store, you guys. The 77 is the best, and they have a 77 that's invisible too. You know that it's invisible. You know, it's clear.
Okay.
A clear 77, and then they've got one. And that's important to know.
Okay.
They've got one that's colored. I think it's like orange.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you're spraying, depending on what you're doing, you want to see what you're spraying.
Okay.
So with the invisible, that's great if you don't want to. It depends on what you're using it for. But you can get both. And 77, that's the best one.
Okay. This is the Upholstery Show Live. Must have been last week's show.
Yeah.
From Janine.
Oh, Janine.
A lot of great information in today's video. Thank you.
Janine, thank you. And if you're watching, Janine is from Australia, right, Patrick?
Yes.
And we got a kick out. We have people in Saudi Arabia, South America, Australia, Canada, Chelsea. That's our biggest one.
Waltham.
All these exotic places.
Do you want these people to raise their hand? Oh, do it like a Miss Jean. Yeah, I can see you, Bobby. Oh, there you are, Melissa. Oh, how are you, Bob?
I do want to mention something to Janine. I see these kangaroos sometimes. They could go after people.
They do.
They hit them.
Did you ever see the video?
Boxing.
Do you ever see the video where the kangaroo had the dog? A little bit like in a headlock.
Yeah, the guy
And
goes over and starts punching.
the guy comes over like saving the
that's
dog,
terrible.
and he starts boxing with and
Guy saves the dog.
the guy saves the dog.
But the kangaroos are tough.
They are tough. You
And
can't.
you know what else is a tough animal? The zebras. Zebras are
Yes,
tough.
they will kick you to death.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about
Yeah, so
something.
Janine's probably listening
and
to
what's
this saying,
that-
will they ever shut up about someone coming here talking about clam chowder? It's the same
It wasn't
thing.
me. It was, I mentioned one thing off camera. All of a sudden, he runs with it. I said, "I can't speak to this man
And
anymore."
Susan were definitely from the East Coast. You could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This used to be an accent that nobody liked, Jimmy. Now, when the Affleck brothers or whatever they are,
I got very depressed on our trip out to the West Coast. I thought I had no accent.
you
Then
thought.
Michaela and everybody was saying, "Oh, I knew you had an accent." No, please don't tell me I have that accent.
But 30 years ago, they used to have accent reduction classes in the adult education, and I can see it now. It's set up at the top. It said on the title of the class was, "Get rid of your Boston accent."
Well,
Nobody
you know
liked
what?
the Boston
Here's the thing.
accent.
Even inside Boston, okay,
There it is. There.
and there are different parts of Boston. We all know. So there's Mattapan, Hyde Park, South Boston, Dorchester. All these different parts of Boston itself has their own.
That's right. Now we
Kind of like New York. You say
yeah.
Manhattan, the
Yeah.
Bronx.
Yeah, we were in Harvard Square today. Park your car in Harvard Yard.
Yeah, that's like. Can you say that for me? I usually charge for it, sir.
Oh, they have people. People ask you. Jimmy works
you
in a.
speak to
We
me?
won't mention the name of the agency, but it's
We've
an
mentioned
agency.
it about 50 billion
Oh,
times
have we?
already.
Yeah, like it's not like I work for a secret section of the government, you know. Good
You
God,
say he
man.
works for the subway. It's easier. People don't know. When you say the T, people in other places.
But Jimmy's a hero. I want to tell people Jimmy.
Oh, God,
Jimmy's
no,
my
don't have
hero.
that
No, I
shit.
got to tell this story. Jimmy is a hero. He's
Don't mention any names. You know, they get in
no,
trouble.
I won't mention any names. But he saves people down here. This one guy fell, right, Jimmy, on the.
No, he actually jumped in. He wanted to.
The name redacted.
He wanted to end his life, and I
And you
saved
saved his life.
I saved him. I saved somebody from committing suicide.
But
If
not
only,
simply.
if only the cameras went, you'd have a $1 million show, man. If only the cameras were allowed to follow
Well,
you
Jimmy
all day,
was in a movie,
that'd
a
be $1 million
feature movie.
show. They never allow it though. I know they
No.
would never allow that.
No.
That would be a good show.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jimmy and the
Oh God, they
MBTA.
kept me sleeping and sleeping again, waking up, sleeping.
Elliot has a good comment here before we get too off track.
What's that?
The sofa I'm redoing is made by Meyer Gunther Martini. I think I'm getting that right. Bought in '66.
Wow.
I think he said that was his mother. Several times. Don't throw out this sofa. Reupholster it. They do not make frames like this anymore.
Yeah, that's
True.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a nice
I
one.
mean, think of the settee that we did.
Oh, that was
that
a nice. That was even more. That was even older than '66, Jimmy. I think that was.
Yeah, it
going
was.
way
Yeah,
back.
I mean, yeah, again, like I say, when I brought it out of the house, it was totally. Springs were hanging down. I looked at the material and the strings. I said, "Oh my God, this is a total redo." And literally, it was the quickest strip down I had. It took me about 2.5
because
hours.
there were tacks in it, right?
It was tacks.
No
exactly.
staples.
No staples.
Well, when you think about a staple requires 80 to 90 pounds of pressure to put into
Right.
hard wood.
Right.
And oftentimes on a hard, they get embedded in there, in the wood. The fabric gets embedded. So it's a little harder than a tack. A tack's put in, I always thought it was the same amount of force. When
It's not.
It's
I mean,
not. It's not.
no.
You're right.
I mean,
Yeah.
even though the tacks are really like right up against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I would love to see what it would take.
Okay, people don't know. People who are watching might not know this, but when you have a hammer, we used to spit tacks because you had to get fast. So the hammer has this. I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. So you have a magnetic end, and this is the hammer end. The bigger end is the hammer end. Do not use your magnet for hammering. Always use the hammer end. So you're constantly flipping. So the idea of the magnet was that you would be having tacks in your mouth.
Oh.
I knew people that could put 3 different sized tacks in their mouth and have them in there all day long and eat lunch too, without taking the tacks out. I'm not kidding.
No.
And
sorry.
so these were old timers, believe me, and they had to move because they were in competition with other people in the line. You had to be fast, and you had supervisors watching.
Right.
So you had to get good. I got really good at it myself.
I could never do that.
And so we had a local TV come in, and they were doing a segment on artisans, and I was in a big operation where there were other artisans, and people doing gold leaf, people doing refinishing, people doing upholstery, people doing fine art, and all that. And when the producer called the owner, said, "We're not doing any talking. Nobody talks. We're just coming in. I'm doing all the talking." Meaning the reporter.
Right.
The reporter's going to do all the talk. We don't want anybody. They don't want to get bogged down with all the nonsense, right?
Hi, honey. Yeah.
So what I said, I got all the managers together, all the team managers, all the different
you
departments.
guys didn't moon.
No, I said your job. No, we didn't do a moon, Jimmy. Not even a half moon. Not even a quarter moon. I said your job is to get on with the speaking part. So what I do is I had a project set up that I was spitting tacks. It was spitting tacks.
Okay.
I had the tacks in my mouth before they see them coming. They come with the cameras. Back then, it wasn't just one camera, Patrick. It was a sound man. It was the producer, director, whatever, the reporter. There were at least 6 people on the crew, and there's lights everywhere. And it was a big production back then.
Right.
So they come to me, and I'm just going along, and I'm spitting tacks, meaning, and I'll do it in slow motion. You'd have a cheek full of 6-ounce tacks. You take one tack out at a time with your tongue. You roll it with your tongue so that the head of the tack is coming out, and you just slip sideways here. And the dip is to allow for the perfectly to come with your tongue, and place the tack on the magnetic end of the hammer. And then you flip it, tap it, flip it again, tack it again 1 or 2 times if you have to. But it's fast. So it was so fast that the director said cut, and she came over and she was looking at the hammer, and she was turning the hammer up and down like this. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Where are the tacks coming from?" And I said, that was my chance. I said, the tacks are coming from my mouth. She was astounded. So they actually slowed the film down to see. They actually had to do it in slow motion to see the tacks coming out of the hammer and onto the piece of furniture. It was that fast.
Wow.
And I got the talking part.
You were the Bruce Lee of upholstery then.
Well, I got the talking part, and that was the whole idea.
So then you had to bore them with your comedy. I mean, hey, did you hear the joke about the horse that walked into the bar? Yeah.
But it brings up another.
I always said one wrong move and you'll be taxed.
Yeah.
But
now I know where the comedy comes from.
It actually brings
God
up a good
almighty,
point
man.
about
You guys are brutal.
About owning an upholstery shop, and about owning a business, and about being part of the community. These things come up. I've been involved. Upholstery is a great trade. I've been involved in a lot of different things in my career, and I'm very happy where I landed. And right now, I think we're spreading the good
Speaking of
news.
could lead into what Adrian had a really good question. Also, how do you see the future of upholstery going?
I see it. Listen, this is a good point. I had. I got a call from Columbia University from a doctor of, I'm not sure what she was a doctor of, but she's a doctorate. She has a doctorate. She's writing a book or an article about upholstery. And I was fascinated by that. And the reason she was doing this is because she felt that upholstery as a trade, as an industry, was coming back. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you got to get people to understand. She gave me a statistic, and I think she might be right, about designers. And she said designers contribute 10% of the footprint, of the carbon footprint, of the total carbon footprint. Designers are responsible for 10%. What that means is they go into a house and throw everything away and get everything new.
Yeah.
So throwing it away is gonna be a problem, and buying it new to replace it is a problem.
Well, I think
10%. So that in itself, upholsterers forever. I've been saying they're the best recyclers out there.
Right, because when you have somebody designing, they want brand new. I mean, that will be one of the presentations.
They want brand new only because the designers have been pushing that for so many years. So now you don't see the mom and pop shops. You don't see the lamp repair man. You don't see the refinisher. You don't see the upholsterer. You don't see the gold leafing person who knew how to do that. You don't see the cobbler. He's long gone.
Oh, yeah.
So I think YouTube has solved all this. Everybody wants to do everything themselves now.
Yeah.
That's good for YouTube, at least the YouTube side of it, and teaching people how to do it. And we still get business from this.
I mean, we're not perfect, and a lot of this could be very frustrating. It's a very hard thing to show how to do this on. It's hard finding the time. Patrick does an excellent job at the editing. The editing is everything, right, Jimmy?
Yes.
We don't lose anything from telling you guys this. We don't lose any sort of...
Well, that's the good part about it, because, if you were losing minutes in them, which leads to...
No, we don't lose any business, because, we know people...
If anything, we get business from it. People find us through YouTube when they want something.
I never understand people say, I don't want to tell anybody my secrets. Why not?
Well, I would be considered a very bad person in the upholstery because I'm showing everything. There used to be a guy named the Unknown Comic. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Unknown Magician.
The Unknown Comic. He had a paper bag over his head.
A paper bag over his head, yeah.
He had a mask.
No. This is on the Gong Show. Gong Show was a 70s show.
No,
and they would have a guy come out, and the curtain would come up, and he'd be a kind of a semi well dressed guy, and he'd do some comedy, but he had the paper bag over there. You never know who he was. And well, obviously your father.
The cutouts, you know.
Yeah, he had the cutouts. I mean,
I got him mixed up with the magician. There was a magician who was giving all the tricks away.
But that was after. That was well after. That was another show.
They didn't like him.
Well, I mean, you know what? You go there for a little bit of fun and entertainment, and of course now you know how it works. It's like, nah, there it goes. It's like knowing how a movie ends.
Well, I think the future is pretty bright, considering we're hearing all this from people who are interested in the.
Well, I think it's great that people get an understanding of how much time it's going to take them. It's not going to be 2 hours. It's definitely. I mean, you're talking about measuring. The type of fabric, is this piece going to be worth it? I mean, I would start small and, give yourself some time and give yourself a little bit of patience, because this is what it takes.
I think all the DIY is bringing it back.
Well, I think, an awful lot of people.
Can you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the classes were wildly popular. People are calling me why I'm not teaching for the first time because of the space limitations. That's one of the problems with Boston is everything's so expensive. Space is expensive.
Oh, can we go to your house?
Well, you need a good amount of space.
I'm joking when I say that.
I know, but we get 6 people in the space, and I couldn't get 6 anymore. It was down to 5. I used to teach 12.
Oh, well, that was a big day. But
so it's popular. It's the most popular class in the adult ed programs that we have around Boston.
I think a lot of the DIY classes are popular. People want to get an idea. Again, upholstery, refinishing, a little bit of carpentry.
So you get out of the house for a night. It's fun. It's not anything heavy. We try to keep it light. The style of teaching is not like an apprentice. Apprentice in a workshop in a place where they're making, hey, there's a business and it's got to be moving along. It's a little rougher than the DIY classes. I mean, you can't treat people in a DIY class like you would a hired apprentice.
Yeah, Kevin, what are you doing? I told you wouldn't that be fun?
The cool thing is, the more people watch this, the more people open up more upholstery shops.
Yeah.
The more upholstery is going to start growing.
Well, this is what the Columbia University woman said. She saw she found the video, she found the YouTube channel and interviewed me.
Together we'll bring them down, Jimmy. All the big.
That's right, baby. We're gonna franchise upholstery on Broadway. We're gonna make millions, and we'll catch everybody on the seashore.
We don't want that. We want them to keep making crap.
Well, actually,
right, Jimmy. The more crap, the more we can reduce stuff.
Well, again, you know what? I think when I hear people say, "Oh, it was my grandmother's chair." My grandmother's living room set. Oh, I want to keep it in the family. I want to do it again, whether they refinish it in upholstery or just refinish it. I think it's great.
That's what I'm saying. The more crap that's made, people are going to realize how bad it is, and they're going to try to find all the stuff to reupholster.
Well, I think an awful lot of people, when they see things on Facebook community, regardless of whether it's a love seat or a wingback chair or whatever, they're looking at probably already say, "Oh, geez, I think you should have it reupholstered," or let me see what I can do with this, and I think it's kind of fun to do. I mean, it does take time. Yeah. Nothing by hand takes 10 minutes.
But if you want to learn upholstery, I mean, these classes, even the YouTube classes, especially the classes with Jimmy on the online class. The thing about Jimmy is he's got great patience. He actually comes an open book for an older guy. That's really important, to be an open book and to ask the questions. He asked a question today, for instance, when I was on the machine, and it was a very important question. I can't remember what it was, but I stopped and looked at the camera and I was talking about that. What was it, Jimmy? You had a question about something about the sewing. But you have those questions come up a lot and in the course of an online class.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think especially the beginning, you're saying, geez, I want to do this right. I don't want to end up, going back and forth and doing the same thing wrong again. How do I continue on with the lesson? And again, sewing is definitely another thing
that's a whole different skill.
Yeah, because you're talking about measuring and making it right. And again, if you're looking at this cushion, you're seeing how perfect it is.
Well, don't look too hard.
Well, but honestly, I mean, you're looking at it saying, like, my God,
blame Jimmy.
Well, so what?
I give you a plug and you kill me.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Susan says, great crafts are disappearing, but will bounce back. People are getting sick of throwaway products. What do you leave for your loved one? The cheap plastic shelf worth 20 from Dollar Tree. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And Malcolm says, DIY is great, but there won't be simple repairs. The harder stuff will be left for the few talented upholsterers. But you know what the hope is more talented upholsterers show up. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I wonder if you did a school, and you'd have to be, I think, you know, getting into of course, the equipment, the fabrics. You know, again, the apprenticeship. How long is it going to take? What do you think it would take?
Well, we have a school that's called the North Bennett Street School in Boston, where they teach fine woodworking, and they have a class. They have an upholsterer come in once a semester and teach a slipcover class. But I think there could be a separate class, a separate school for upholstery, because I'm only going by the attendance that I get during these adult ed classes. I was teaching 3 adult ed classes a week at one point.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The time I was
like
there,
10
you know
people.
me.
We had 30 people a week.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so if you can get 30 people in an adult ed nighttime class, you probably get somebody full tuition doing a
right.
show.
I mean, but
you
you
could
see,
do a whole thing. That could be the part 2 of the upholstery business. Is you could talk about doing classes, because you can always
we
stop
had
and end them.
the
when
best
you want to.
the best compliment we had was from Blair, who started watching. Blair started watching me in his living room, and I asked him, and he's all the way into like a 4,000 square foot warehouse now doing the work. He went from a 40 square foot living room to a 400 square foot.
that's a man on
and
fire.
a 4,000. He's
Yeah.
a good kid, and he's got a young family, and he's really busy. He doesn't have time to talk to me too much anymore, which is
Yeah,
fine.
well-
But I think he's doing videos now,
Yeah,
Patrick.
yeah.
So you know.
Well, you know
What
what?
I'm saying, if you become one of the few that Malcolm were talking about, they're really talented, like you can do these classes.
maybe we
for
can have
extra
an
money.
upho-
You can.
Yeah.
You know?
We can have an upholstery convention at your house.
I don't know. These are living in a mansion. I think there's some huge house.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you know, 15 rooms.
No, I probably, money doesn't mean a huge thing to me, but I have a contemporary who's my age. He happens to be named his same first name, and he's focused on a career his entire life. He's about my age, and he drives Lamborghinis because he's never gotten distracted. We have been distracted in certain things. This is a long time ago, Pat.
Does he have any kids?
Yeah, no, he's done quite well.
I was gonna say,
He's done quite well. He has family, but he's not. You know, I've kind of drifted into, you know, for 6 years. I taught people with disabilities upholstery. And,
You're a
and
saint.
No, I'm just bringing it up because focus is important in any business, right?
Oh yeah, you gotta.
So I don't regret it at all. I think you know, you end up being happier when you pursue these other things.
Oh, yeah, but-
you know.
We got to do a part 2 to that video, the upholstery business. We can update that right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's so hard to cover
Yeah.
everything in one video.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with Boston being prime, you wonder if you actually, I mean, rents are so different that they vary from town to
Well,
town.
this is the challenges of keeping a storefront in Boston is a challenge.
Oh, I
Because
can't.
as soon as you lose, it is a business where you do get business from having a storefront, and from a busy city, and really, if you a lot of upholsterers are working out of their basement, and that's going to cut a lot of the work out. Anyhow, though, Patrick, are we all set?
Yeah.
We all set?
An hour. Sousa, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and I
Yes, have a good week,
hope
everyone.
we didn't drift too much.
Yeah, like Kevin
No,
always
that's
does.
inevitable.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.